Many years ago, when our late and wonderful Queen Mother was alive, she had to be gently persuaded by the then Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, to finally vacate her rooms, her quarters at Buckingham Palace. You see, she loved living in Buckingham Palace so much, but the Prime Minister, Winston, knew, well, basically, that the Duke of Edinburgh and, of course, the Queen wanted their home alone, as it were. In fact, some might say that the Duke of Edinburgh at that moment in time did not particularly get on that well with the Queen Mother and felt that she was interfering too much. So perhaps the Prime Minister could politely suggest that she may move somewhere else. She did. She moved round the corner to Clarence House at great expense. It needed all renovating and much to her taste. Rightly so, the Queen Mother after all. But now, of course, Buckingham Palace itself is not necessarily the palace that many people want to live in. 775 bedrooms, a big place right in the heart, the centre of London. It's mainly used currently, which is undergoing extensive refurbishment for banquets and big events, that royals attend, big state banquets, things like that. But even in this climate, they're not really allowed to do so many state banquets because it doesn't look great in this cost of living crisis. Now, as we've told you before, our King, King Charles III, busy year, 30 odd days plus, where he's suddenly going to be crowned finally at Westminster Abbey, has often spoken about the fact that he doesn't particularly like Buckingham Palace as a place to live and will continue to either live at Clarence House round the corner or Highgrove or the various other homes that he has up and down the United Kingdom when out and about, rightly so. But the bigger plan, you see, is this. The government have decided to freeze the spending now on any more to do with Buckingham Palace. That's not to say that it won't be completed, but of course, there's no more cash funds for this particular sort of project moving forward. But you see, the King has always been very keen on the idea of opening up Buckingham Palace even further to the great British public 12 months a year. Now this, basically when you consider it's open for a few months every year and generates quite a few million in revenue for the upkeep of Buckingham Palace, they've noted that if they opened it for a full year, it could generate up to maybe even 70 million. I kid you not. Now, the bottom line is this. It's not a bad idea, but then there are people that feel that it would just then simply become something of a museum, not the centerpiece of royal life. Everybody looks towards Buckingham Palace in times of crisis or indeed situations like our late and beloved Queen Elizabeth's funeral. We just all congregate there. It's a place that we all know. The balcony is steeped in history. But as King Charles knows, as he tries to modernise the British monarchy, he realises it has to be self-funding. And people being able to look at the treasures, the art galleries, the sort of, the rooms that all of these historical events have taken place in, knows it could generate a self-funding, self-revenue project. But right now, seemingly, there are other senior royals that don't like the idea. But as the reign of King Charles moves forward, and given the fact that the government are basically looking at what they can and can't afford, will Charles's idea finally win out? As ever, it's a developing story. And when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of a windy London.